Hey there, it's Helen Hartsmith here from the Heart of the Witch's Path YouTube channel. Thank you for coming back and watching another video. How you doing? Doing pretty good. I went to the gym today, so I'm feeling pretty good. Did some walking on the treadmill. Did a 30-minute workout. Yay, Planet Fitness. Woo woo. So that's why I might look a little rough. Well, you know. Not that I'm ever super polished, but hey. Anyhow, coming at you with a book review today. I'm pretty excited because I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Now, I think I've mentioned in past videos that members of my coven, we do a coven study together. So what we do is we come to a consensus and we try to have it be, you know, everybody agree, but at least a consensus that on a book that we study together. And that can sometimes be a challenge that maybe I should talk about in like a whole other video. Like, how do you go about selecting books for a group to study together when you are at different levels? Because we definitely have members of our coven who, like myself, have been practicing for many years. We have others that have been practicing for a few years, but they don't, you know, some that are interested in learning more, some that are just kind of interested in certain things, and then we've got newbies. So how do you find books that can be interesting to everyone? So that might be an interesting video. So if you'd like me to do a video on something like that, comment below and I will put something together. Anyhow, so we finished a book as a coven. So this is our most recent book that we finished. And I'm super excited because I know the author and she's really cool and I talk about her a lot. So here's the book, Coventry Magic with Candles, Oils, and Herbs by Jackie Smith. Now, Jackie Smith, like I said, I know her. I actually met her a number of years ago when I went to convocation for the first time. And she's a really amazing chick. And like, she's super cool and she's a great teacher and she's got a lot of really cool information to impart. And if you haven't watched any of my videos where I've talked about Jackie before, I think it's safe to say that she sees herself as a hoodoo practitioner. So she's very much into that kind. I'm not a hoodoo practitioner. There are bits of hoodoo that I jive with, and so hoodoo comes from the slave quarters, you know, of the South and stuff like that. So it's a to an extent, it's almost kind of a basic, it's not like high magic. It doesn't have all that ritualistic stuff, but there's a depth to it too that, you know, can take years to really master. And Jackie is one of the people that I know of that does it very well. And so Jackie is also the owner of Coventry Candles, and that is a candle line that you can find in many of your fine New Age establishments. So anyhow, this is her first book, and so this book is copyrighted 2011, so it's a pretty fresh new book. It's about 6 years old now. And so the main part of the book is 150 pages. And then there is a sizable appendix. And here we have the appendix that I've got pinched off right here. And that is about 90 pages of material. And there's some really good stuff in this appendix. I mean, you could almost pick up this book for the appendix. I'll say that right now. She's got a great section that talks about tarot card and meanings and keywords and things like that, and how to use them in spells, which is really interesting. There is a stone section. There is let's see, what is this one? Astrological signs and magic. There is correspondences as far as like days, times of the week and stuff, colors, and then there's a huge section on on herbs. And this is all from Jackie's perspective and more importantly, Jackie's history of working with herbs. And, you know, because of her business, she deals with magical thinking on a daily basis, because I've heard her talk about, you know, she has a blessing candle that, you know, she might need to have blessing candles, and it might be best for, you know, there's a good part of the month when you should do a blessing spell. And if your stock is low and you've got to have more, well, and it's not that time of the month, well, then how do you go about dealing with that? And she's talked about that quite extensively. And so I find her opinions very worthy for any level that you're at, and quite frankly, for any tradition that you're following. So I think that this book is really interesting because, for me, having been a practitioner, having been a witch for a number of years, sometimes it's really great to reread something that you already knew, but to have it kind of like refreshened in your mind. And I found that to be true for a lot of the ideas that I'd already known, but it was a great refresher. Oh yeah, you know, because I don't always do a lot of formal magic. I do instant magic on a daily basis, but I don't always do like a spell work every day. So that was kind of nice. I also appreciated there's an entire section that she devotes to how to read things when working candle magic, how to read how it's burning, what is the flame doing, and what does it mean for your spell, how the wax drips and what does that mean for your spell. So it really opened up, you know, that section really opened up another level for me, even as someone who's done candle magic before and things like that, in how to read how the spell is going based on what's happening. And so that section I found extremely interesting. She even talked about chatter in a candle. If you're burning a candle and have soft, infrequent chatter, what does that mean? Or if you have a mild, frequent chatter, what does that mean? And so, like I said, it really just opened up another level of candle magic for me. And I really, really enjoyed that. Now, one thing that I found really, really cool is that Jackie has these little sections. See here, this little area here that's kind of in gray. These are not that particular one. Let me get to another one. Yeah, okay. So these little gray sections, these are tips from your Aunt Jackie. And so I found those sections, they were kind of, you know, thrown in and out throughout the book. And I found them to be incredibly helpful too. Just little tidbits. And some things I knew, some things I didn't, and some things it was a nice reminder. So I thought what I would do in this video is share with you my top 5 tips from Aunt Jackie. So in no particular order, well, in particular order that I'm probably going to go from the back of the book to the front of the book. How about that? So, so the first one here is, if you choose to call upon your chosen higher power in your spell, here's a good rule to follow. If you call on a spiritual entity to affect physical change in your life, you need to give them physical energy with which to work. So that's like a reciprocity thing. If you ask somebody to help you, then you need to, you know, give them something in return. That's a nice little tidbit that it's kind of nice to be reminded of every so often. I enjoyed that. The second tip from Aunt Jackie, let's see, don't leave candles burning unattended. I think that's kind of self-explanatory. Number 3, tip from your Aunt Jackie. Guys, the roomie is here, and she's like right over there. I think she's laughing at me, and I don't know why. Number 3 tip from your Aunt Jackie. I'm trying to like read through it without reading it. I should have done this maybe beforehand. Whatever. Oh, yes! I thought this was it. It might behoove you to have separate tools for magic working. And I've talked about this before, and I know that I have some specific things now, and I'm not talking about your athame and your cauldron. Yeah, we know that those are separate things. I mean, I'm not going to use my athame to cut bread or something like that. No, that's not what we're talking about. Jackie's talking about blenders, measuring cups, spoons, things like that. It's probably a good thing to have like a set of metal or glass that you have set aside that is specific for magical use. One thing that I've talked about quite often, and I saw it somewhere and I don't remember where it was, but it had been suggested to me to get some antique silver spoons to use for spell work, for scooping out herbs. I have a couple that I've been using exclusively for pulling out herbs, and of course I clean it so I'm not mixing mullein with chamomile and different things like that. But I have a spoon that I specifically use for spell work to pull out those herbs, and I think that that's kind of nice because it helps add that level of setting the stage for the magic that you're working. So I highly agree that that's a really good idea. Okay. Tip number 4 from your Aunt Jackie. No one can ever fully comprehend your perspective because it will always be colored by theirs. There's something, what do I say, Rumi? About perception?
Perception is my reality.
Perception is reality. And my reality is way different from hers, from yours, from Jackie's. And so you can't allow that to color how you approach things. Your perception, if you're the one working magic, then your perception has to be the one that you're working toward. Now, if you're trying to work something for somebody else, then what I try to do when I talk to somebody, if they come to me wanting help with spell work, then I oftentimes will say, okay, here are my thoughts, and give them some generalities, and then say, you've got to personalize it. What color means luck to you? What color means healing to you? So, that's definitely falls into that whole perception is reality thing. And that's something that you've really got to come to terms with yourself and make it work for you and your magic. Okay? And lastly, the 5th tip from Aunt Jackie that I enjoyed, she talks about she kind of tells a little story about going to a trade show early on in the days of her business. And she talked about, random acts of energy. So she talks about, she's traveling, she's got to rent a car, she gets to the rental place when she gets to her destination, and it's packed, and there's a lot of people there, and there's kids there, and things like that. And on the way over, she was sitting next to this woman, and she made a really nice comment to this woman saying, you look really nice today, blah, 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 this and that. And, she was trying not to be too chatty or anything like that. But you get to the car place, and it's full, and there's some crying kids. And so that woman that she made the comment to, she helped this family with a crying baby and tried to diffuse what was starting to be kind of a nasty situation, where just energetically I'm talking about, not like there was going to be, any altercations or anything like that. But, you know how when there's a situation like that, there's a lot of people, you get a little short-tempered and things like that. And so there was this chain reaction that happened that Jackie sat back and watched, and she said, I started that. I started that with this random act of energy, here at point A. It moved to point B, to point C, to point D, and it diffused this entire situation. And I thought that was a really good lesson to take moving forward. That, you know, sometimes one little thing, you know, if you if you see someone at a grocery store struggling with a cart, then why not help them? Or struggling to reach something, why not help them? Or move something out of the way for them, or something like that. It kind of comes back to that pay it forward idea that, you know, a simple act of kindness can go forward and blossom and become change. So I thought that that was kind of cool. So there's 5 little tips that I pulled out of the book from dear Aunt Jackie, whom I love so much. So let's deal with the rating system, because it all boils down to the rating system, does it not? So if you haven't watched any of my reviews, I have a 5 broom rating system. And I'm going to give this book, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, just because there's some super solid things about the book, and it's probably one that I will reference in the future, but it wasn't all completely blowing me away. Like, it wasn't all new information to me. Like I said, it was nice to have the reminder of some of that information, but I've definitely read some other books that made me go, whoa, throughout the whole thing. So this one didn't quite do that for me, but it's a very good book still, and I'll give it 4 out of 5 brooms. How's that? All right, so since it's right here in front of me, do y'all want to know what the Coven's going to read next? I can show you. This is the book that we're going to be reading next, Spirit of the Witch by Raven Grimassi. Religion and Spirituality in Contemporary Witchcraft. I can't wait to get into it. It just arrived the other day, and so I have read some things by Raven Grimassi, and I think he's definitely a good author. He has some good thoughts. He's a good dude. So I can't wait to get into this one and see what it's about. So stay tuned, and maybe I will give you a review. There's no maybes about it. So if you learned something from this video or liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. Comments. We love to have comments here at the channel. So either put one below, have you read Coventry Magic by Jackie Smith? If you have, I would love to hear your thoughts on this book. Or if you're not comfortable making a comment here on this video, you can always email me at heartofthewitchespath@yahoo.com. And please make sure to check out the Instagram, Heart of the Witch's Path. I'm trying to post things most days. It doesn't always make it most days, but things happen. So thanks for watching, and thanks for walking the path for a little while with me. Until next time, blessed be.